It's Genesis 12 today. And, the ability of spirits and angels to perceive things, auras in the other life. Among the amazing things in the other life are perceptions, of which there are two kinds. One exists with angels; they perceive what is true. They perceive what is true. 1 second. And good, what comes from the Lord and what from themselves. And what the source. Source. Source.
Source.
Source.
Source.
Source. What the source. Source and the nature of their thoughts. Source. And nature of their thoughts, words and deeds is when these come from themselves. The other kind is one that is common to everyone, to angels at the peak of perfection, and to spirits according to their quality. As soon as another person approaches, they know what that person is like. Let us turn to the first kind. The king kind angels have their ability to tell what is true and good, what comes from the Lord, what comes from themselves, and what the source, and what the source and nature of their thoughts, words, and deeds is when these come from themselves. I was allowed to talk with the descendants of the earliest church about the ability to perceive. They said they did not. They said they did not and could not think anything on their own or will anything on their own. With each and every thought of impulse, they said they can tell what comes from the Lord and what comes from somewhere else. They perceive not only how much is from the Lord and how much is seemingly from themselves, but also when it does seem to originate in themselves, where it comes from. That is, they perceive which angels it comes from, what those angels are like, what are their different thoughts are, and so what the various influences are, along with countless other factors. Perceptions of this kind come in many varieties. Heavenly angels who love the Lord perceive goodness, and this enables them to perceive everything that is a matter of truth. Since they perceive truth from the standpoint of what is good.
Standpoint.
Standpoint, like point of view. They do not allow standpoint. They do not allow any discussion of truth, let alone argument about it, but say yes or no. Since they perceive truth from the state standpoint of what is good. They do not allow any discussion of truth, let alone argument about it. Allow. Mhm.
What are? Oh wait, what are you reading? What's it?
It's a book of Emanuel Swedenborg, Secrets of Heaven. This is this book you can see.
Chris of Haven.
Would you like to read too? You can read
Oh,
next section if you want.
I have a little bit worried because English is not my native language, and I don't know. Is it hard?
Actually, I learn English from this book. If I don't know any word, I can translate it from this application I use. For example, this word allow or allow.
Hello.
Allow.
Allow.
It's
Allow.
allowed transcription.
Allow.
Allow. Do not allow any discussion
Allow.
of truth. Or let alone argument about it, but say yes or no. Spiritual angels, on the other hand, who also have perception, though not the kind heavenly angels have, do talk about truth and goodness. They still perceive things, but they perceive them in many different ways, because this kind of perception has countless variations. The variations have to do with perceiving whether the Lord wills a thing or accepts it or tolerates it, which are quite different from each other. There are spirits belonging to the religion of the skin, particularly the Kumos. What is this?
Squamous.
Squamous. Squamous. Squamous layer. You can see picture maybe to understand this word. Squamous layer. What is this?
Do you understand what are you reading?
Yeah, but not at all, because I understand words, but it's easy to read, but maybe it's difficult to understand. Because it's Swedenborg, and Swedenborg is a very wise and smart person, and he has third highest IQ in history. His IQ is 206. That because his books are very wise and smart, and there is a deep inner meaning, like this inner spiritual meaning inside them. And the understanding of books of Swedenborg depends from our intelligence and intellect. Because if you have low IQ, you cannot understand his books. Maybe if you have IQ like 100, you can understand his books. It depends from intelligence, actually. A lot of great people loved to read books of Swedenborg and learned from them. That because I believe if I will read smart and wise books, I will be more smart and wise.
Okay.
Is it understand? I mean, is it understandable for you? Because like words are not difficult here, and grammar constructions are right here.
You mean in text, or what did you say? What do you say? Or
Mm,
what do you say?
no, maybe text and his. We can understand his point of view, what he means. Actually, he writes about his spiritual contacts. In this section, he writes about his spiritual contacts with angels in heaven, and he describes how the kingdom of heaven works. I mean, if we understand how the kingdom of heaven works, we can understand how can we change the world and how can we make the world a better place on earth. Because if you don't understand how can we build any ideal just society on earth, we cannot do it.
Okay.
Because we can say life is not fair. Yeah, and we can say that kingdoms and countries are not perfect. Countries on earth are not perfect. Yeah, but, I don't know. Maybe you can say, I know a country which is perfect, but I don't sure. But we can say the kingdom of heaven is perfect country because God is the king of God's kingdom. God is the king of the kingdom of heaven, and if God is perfect, and we know that God is perfect, that it means that His kingdom is perfect too. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I think I understand you. But
Okay.
anyway,
Okay, let's read. If you want to read, you can say, and you can read next section after me.
yes. Okay.
There are spirits belonging to the region of the skin, particularly the squamous layer, who want to argue everything. They do not perceive what is good or true, and in fact, the more they argue, the less they perceive it. They identify wisdom with sophistry, which they count on to make them seem wise. I told them that the role of angelic wisdom is to perceive whether a thing is good or true without sophistical reasoning, but they cannot grasp the possibility that this kind of perception exists. They are the same people that used the academic and philosophical disciplines during bodily life to cast confusion over truth and goodness, and as a result seemed to themselves to be more knowledgeable than others. They had not started with any valid assumptions taken from the word. Consequently, they do not have much common sense. Assumptions like conclusions, yeah, valid assumptions.
Assumptions.
No, assumptions is like hypothesis. Hypothesis.
Hypothesis.
Yeah, hypothesis, yeah. Assumptions. This. Like starting position. Presumption.
Presumption.
Presumption. As long as spirits imagine that they lead themselves and that they think for themselves and gain knowledge, intelligence, and wisdom for themselves, they cannot have perception. Instead, they consider perception to be stuff and nonsense. Several times I have talked about perception with people in the next life who, while they were living in the world, had imagined they could investigate and understand any subject. Angels, I said, perceive that they think and speak and that they will and act from the Lord. The people I was talking to, though, could not comprehend what perception was. They thought that if everything were the result of outside influence like this, it would rob them completely of life, because it would mean never thinking for themselves, never thinking independently, which for them was life. It would mean that someone else was thinking for them and not they themselves. So they would be mere instruments devoid of life. The difference in quality of life between having perception and not having it, I pointed out, is like night and day. You first start to live your own life when you receive this perception, because you then live from the Lord. You then enjoy a sense of individuality as well, which comes to replete. What is it, replete?
Replete.
Replete. It's like filled, saturated, abundant, full.
Replete.
Replete. Replete. Comes to replete with every happiness and joy. From plentiful experience, I also illustrated for them how perception works, and they then acknowledged that it was possible. After a while, though, they again forgot, doubted, and denied. This showed me how hard it is for people to grasp what perception is. The second kind of perception, as already mentioned, is one that is common to everyone, to angels at the peak of perception, and to spirits according to their quality. As soon as another person approaches, they know what that person is like, even if the person says nothing. It reveals itself instantaneously, but a
Okay,
sort of
I'm going. Good luck with reading.
Okay.
You
Goodbye.
can.
It reveals itself instantaneously, but a sort of inspiration that is most amazing. Good spirits are recognized not only for the type of goodness they have, but also for the type of belief. When they talk, it comes, though, in every word. Evil spirits are recognized for their wickedness and unbelief, and when they talk, it comes through in every word. The clues are so plain as to be unmistakable. Clues.
Clues.
Clues, like key. The clues are so plain as to be unmistakable. Something similar can be seen with people on Earth. They too can sometimes tell what others are thinking from the gestures, facial expression,
Facial.
and speech of those others, even when their words contradicted. This skill in humans is an earthly one whose origin can be traced to a character trait in spirit, so that grants them the same ability, and so to an individual's own spirit and its communication with the world of spirits. This shared perception originates in the Lord, in the Lord's wish that all blessings spread contagion, contagiously. Contagiously.
Contagiously.
Contagiously. Contagiously. It's like infectiously.
Infectiously.
Contagiously. Spread contagiously. And that everyone enjoy mutual love and grow happy as a result. That is why this type of perception also prevails everywhere among spirits. Souls that had arrived in the other life once expressed their surprise to find that another person's thoughts are communicated in this way. They were also amazed that they could instantly tell not only what kind of character that other person had, but also what the person's beliefs were. I told them that spirit abilities are superior once they separate from their bodies. During physical life, objects of the senses have an superior,
Superior.
superior. It's like excellent, superior. Abilities far superior once they separate from their bodies. During physical life, objects of the senses have an impact on us. So, do fantasies build out of the impressions those subjects leave on our memory? Sorry, what?
Hello.
Hello.
What is this?
It's a book. I'm reading the book. This is Secrets of Heaven by Manuel Swedenborg. You can see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to read, you can read next section after me.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Impact on us as do fantasies build out of the impressions those subjects leave on our memory, do not to mention worries about the future, various cravings aroused by external stimuli.
Stimuli.
Stimuli. External stimuli. Stimuli. By external stimuli. Concern over food, clothes, housing, and children, and so on. Housing.
Housing.
It's like house. Living space. Housing. People in the other life never think about any of these things. When such thoughts are set aside as obstacles and barriers, together with bodily desires connected to the coarser sensations, people cannot obstacles. Obstacles. It's like barrier. Aside as obstacles and barriers, together with bodily desires connected to the coarser. Coarser. Like much larger. Connected to the coarser sensations, people cannot. Obstacles. Cannot help being in a more ideal condition. Their former abilities remain former. Their former abilities remain but become much more perfect, lucid, and free. Lucid. Like lucid dreams. Lucid and free. This is especially true with people who have lived lives of charity and faith in the Lord and of innocence. Their capacities are heightened tremendously. Tremendously. Heightened tremendously. It's like amazingly. Their capacities are heightened.
Capacities.
Sorry, I don't hear you because your voice is interrupting.
Sorry.
Yeah, what?
Just now,
You,
my colleague just some sniff, but now, I think sorry for you. Sorry.
sorry, you're a robot. You maybe because of your Wi-Fi connection, your voice is interrupting. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm reading the book. You can see this book on the stream. And if you want to read too, you can read. But you should check out your Wi-Fi connection. Their capacities are heightened tremendously over the ones they had in the body until finally their gifts match those of angels in the third heaven. It is not only the feelings and thoughts of others that are shared, but the knowledge as well. So widely is knowledge shared that each spirit thinks he or she already knows what the next spirit knows, even if the first spirit had previously known nothing about the subject. Everything that others know about accordingly becomes common property. Some spirits retain the knowledge, some property. I forgot, like property. Yeah.
Property.
Property, like possession. Retain. What is retain?
Retain.
Hmm. In this sense, like hold. Some spirits retain the knowledge, some do not. Spirits share these things with each other in conversation and through mental images accompanied by visual representations. The images that compose the thoughts also take visible form. You see. Sorry, what? Which allows everything to be presented in full detail. Spirits can depict more through a single mental image than they can express in 1,000 words. Angels even perceive what lies behind the image, what feelings is connected with it, where that feeling comes from, what the purpose of it is, and many other inner aspects. It is also common in the other world for one person to communicate pleasure and happiness in a remarkable way by actually passing them on to a number of others who are as much affected by them as the original person. Their communication takes place without any lessening of the feelings in the person who shares them to begin with. I too was given the opportunity to share my pleasure with others by transferring it to them. You can imagine then what kind of happiness exists in people who love their neighbor more than themselves and want nothing more than to spread their happiness to others. Their attitude traces its origin to the Lord, who communicates happiness to angels in the same way. When people share happiness, they are constantly passing it along in the way just described, but they do so without reflecting on their active role in the process and without making a conscious, deliberate decision to engage in it. Deliberate. What is this?
Deliberate.
Deliberate. Sorry, what? I don't hear you. Yeah.
Oh, to read the book, geography, or a text. So, you know.
Sorry, you're a robot. A robotic. Your
I don't know
Wi-Fi.
it, because I want to use the profile to facilitating and other people. So I I just want to like to use it. So I don't know about.
It's not understandable. Maybe you do use VPN, yeah? It looks like maybe. No? Or Wi-Fi, maybe. I cannot understand what you're saying because it's not understandable.
Deliberate.
Deliberate, intentional, purposeful, deliberate. Decision to engage in it. Another astonishing way. Astonishing. What is this? Astonishing. Astonishing.
Astonishing.
It means
Amazing, yeah? Astonishing. Another astonishing way happiness spreads is through extraction, a process whose nature cannot be grasped by people on Earth. Hush. Hush. Harsh.
Harsh.
Harsh. It's like unpleasant, sharp, hard maybe. Harsh, disturbing elements are removed in an instant, and in the process, something pleasing and happy is presented with nothing to block it. Once any hindrances, hydrances or hydrances, hin or hin, maybe hindrances.
Hindrances.
Yeah, hindrances. Hindrances is like obstacle, barrier. Hindrances. Once any hindrances are removed, the angels stream in and communicate their joy. Maybe too better to memorize this word. I can see the picture. Hindrances. Oh, hindrances. It's like hindrance. Okay. Freedom from hindrances. Okay. Once any hindrances are removed, angels stream in and communicate their joy. Since perception allows one person to see immediately what kind of love and belief another has, people come together and communicate insofar as they harmonize and separate insofar as they conflict. The process is so precise that not the smallest variation fails either to divide or to unite. As a result, communities in the heavens have distinctive characters, as distinct as anyone could possibly imagine. The differences depend on variations in love for the Lord and faith in Him, which are countless. From this comes the form of heaven, which is such that it resembles a single human. That form is constantly being perfected. A wealth of experience has taught me how this kind of perception works, but recounting all of it would take too long. Many times I have heard swindlers, swindlers. What is this?
Swindlers.
It's like cheat, or liar, like scams. Swindler.
Scammer.
Swindlers.
Scammers.
Yeah. More
Swindler.
it is scammers.
Thank you. swindlers talking and perceiving not only the presence of fraud, but also its nature.
Very bad, very bad, very bad, very bad, very bad, very, very bad.
Very bad what? I'm reading bad, yeah?
No.
I know.
So
Ah, okay, maybe I don't understand.
Why is your voice so low? Is your mom dad sleeping? Are you in the midnight talking to us? Does your mom dad don't know that you do?
Sorry, it's English speaking
Seriously.
channel. Speak in English because I don't understand what you're saying. I'm reading I'm book.
I'm also
And
speaking English. I'm not speaking my native language.
and what you're saying, I don't understand. What you're talking about? Do
I
you
said
see?
to skinny. I did not say to you. I said to skinny bee, something like that.
Sorry, I
You
don't
just left.
understand you because of your accent. Your accent is like very no, is not understandable for me. Sorry. Can can
Okay.
can you can you not interrupt me?
What are you even doing?
I'm reading the book. You can see on the stream, and
But why are you
if you want,
reading the book?
if you want to read, you can read next section after me, if you can read.
But why are you reading right now?
Sorry, I
I mean,
don't
you should just
understand.
enjoy. You
Your
should just.
accent is horrible.
You should. You. Oh, as if it's better than
Many
your mom.
times I have heard swindlers talking and perceiving not only the presence of fraud, but also its nature and the nature of the malice behind
I
it.
mean, this
It
sucks.
is.
Whatever you are saying.
Can you mute? Can you mute yourself, or I will mute you because you are bothering me to read this book. You interrupt
But
me.
why are you reading this? Why are you not enjoying?
What? What are you
Why
saying?
are you? Why are you reading this? Why are you not enjoying?
I'm learning English from this book. Because it's English book, and I read this book, and I learn
So
English
you're
language
not
from this
able
book.
to. Okay, you're not able to understand what I'm speaking. Okay, now I should try now.
You're a robot. Yeah, I don't understand you. Your internet
I don't do
connection
bonkers.
is breaking. Okay, I'll continue. But its nature and the nature of the malice
Yeah,
behind it. It is as if an image of their deep duplicity. Duplicity. What is this? Like dual.
Duplicity.
It's like hypocrisy, duality.
Duplicity.
Duplicity, like duality, dwells in every sound they utter. In addition, I have perceived whether the fraud was invented by the speaker or by others talking through the speaker. It is the same with people who hate. One can see right away the character of their hatred and the factors that go into it, which are more numerous than you could ever be persuaded to believe. When the victims of their hatred are present in person, it creates a pitiable, maybe pitiable,
Pitiable.
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 Pitiable. It's like miserable.
Pitiable.
Pitiable. It creates a pitiable situation for the haters, such whether thoughts they had entertained or plots they had hatched against the person stand out in plain view. Entertained.
Entertained. It's
like nourish, occupy, entertained. Okay. A certain spirit who wanted to take credit for the deeds he had done and the doctrines he had taught while living in the world, went off toward the right and came upon some people who were not like him. In order to attach himself to them, he said that he was a nobody and would like to serve them, but they had been sensing what he was like from the moment he approached them while he was still far away. Their immediate their immediate answer was that he was not the kind of person, he said. He wanted to be important and consequently would not be able to get along with them since they were not. Embarrassed by this, like confused maybe. Yeah, embarrassed, confused. Embarrassed by this, he left, amazed that they could tell from such a distance. Since their sensitivities, since their sensitivities, it's like responsiveness. Sensitivities are so acute, like sharp. Sensitivities are so acute, evil spirits cannot go near any environment or community inhabited by good spirits who love each other. Let the good spirits just approach and the evil ones begin to suffer, complaining and crying. A certain evil spirit was brash and bold enough to force his way into a community that lay at the view threshold of heaven. The instant he arrived, he found he could hardly breathe and sensed that he stunk like a corpse, so he slipped back down. It's like smell. He stunk like a corpse, so he slipped back down. Maybe to better memorize this word. Tank. Stink, stank. Stink. Yeah, it stinked. The Stank podcast. Stank face like this. Okay. He stunk like a corpse, so he slipped back down. There were quite a few spirits around me who were not good. An angel came, and I saw that the spirits could not bear his presence, since the nearer he came, the further away they went. They further. The farther away they went. He came, the farther away they went. I was surprised but was able to see that they could not linger in the aura that he carried with him. Could not linger. It's like delay, linger. Linger in the aura that he carried with them. This too showed me, as other experience have done, that one angel can drive away tens of thousands of evil spirits, since evil spirits cannot abide in atmosphere of mutual love. Still, I could tell that his aura was being moderated by his associations with others. If it had not been, all the spirits would immediately have scattered. This once again shows clearly what kind of perception exists in the other life, and it shows how people join together and separate in response to their perceptions. All spirits have contact with the inner heaven and the inmost, although they are unaware of it. Otherwise, they could not live. Their inner their inner nature is recognized by angels who are awake to deeper dimensions, and the Lord also governs them through angels. So their inner characteristics become common knowledge in heaven as the outer ones do in the world of spirits. These inner communications adapt each of them for some useful role, and they are drawn to that role without realizing it. The situation with people on earth is the same. We too communicate through angels with heaven in complete ignorance in the fact that we do, because otherwise we could not live. The influence heaven has on our thinking is merely the outermost effect of that interaction. Such contact is the source of all our life, and it regulates everything we try to do in life. For more one perception and the auras that perception generates, see the end to the present chapter. Okay, it's Genesis 12. Hello, it's nice to see you and
Hello.
and hear you. Do you want to read from here, Genesis 12?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 12. And Jehovah said to Abram, Go your way from your land and from your birthplace, and from your father's house to the land that I show you. And I will make you into a great nation, and bless you, and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And I will be bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the clans of the ground will be blessed. And Abram went as Jehovah had spoken to him, and with him went Lot. And Abram was a son of 75 years when he left Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their gain that they had gained, and every soul that they had made in Haran. And they left to go into the land of Canaan. And they came into the land of Canaan. And Abram passed through the land all the way to the place of Shechem.
Shechem, maybe
Shechem.
Shechem, maybe Shechem.
Shechem.
Shechem, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shechem, all the way to the oak grove of Moreh. And the Canaanite, is it? Canaanite was then in the land.
Canaan, if it is about Canaan,
Canaanite.
yeah, Canaanite is like a nation in Canaan.
Mhm.
But I hear echo from someone microphone, speakerphone.
Huh?
I think it is your echo because I hear myself from your microphone. Can you turn off your microphone if you don't speak? Okay. Who is that? Okay. It's okay now.
Okay. So it's Canaanite, right?
Canaanite.
Okay.
Canaan
And
and Canaanite.
Canaanite was then in the land. And Jehovah was seen by Abram and said, To your seed I will give this land. And there he built an an altar to Jehovah, who had been seen by him. And he moved from there onto a mountain to the east of Bethel. Bethel. Bethel.
Bethel.
Bethel.
Bethel.
Bethel.
Bethel.
And spread,
Actually, Bethel is the city where Jesus was born. Yeah, because
is
it's
it
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
Mhm.
Bethel and spread his tent. Bethel was toward the sea, and Ai toward the east. And there he built an altar to Jehovah and called on Jehovah's name. And Abram traveled, going and traveling toward the south. And this was famine? Is it famine?
Famine.
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 Famine. Like
Do you know what is famine?
famine.
If you
I
don't
know.
have
I know.
harvest, you know, yeah?
Oh, okay. No. I don't know. I only know like feminine.
No, it's about like hunger.
Famine.
Oh, hunger
Famine.
strike. Okay.
It's yeah.
Like famish. I know
Mhm.
famish. Like that.
Famish. Famine. If
Okay.
you don't have harvest because of dry land, you have famine. You have famine.
Okay.
You don't
Okay.
have to eat.
Okay. Because the famine was heavy in the land. Oh, the famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to reside as an immigrant there, because the famine was heavy in the land. And it happened when he came near entering Egypt that he said to Sarai, his wife, "Consider, please, I know that you are a woman beautiful to see. Beautiful to see. And it will happen when the Egyptians see you that they will say, 'This is his wife,' and kill me and keep you alive. Please say you are my sister, in order that it may go well for me on account of you, and that my soul may live because of you." And it happened when Abram came into Egypt that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful, and a Pharaoh,
Pharaoh. Pharaoh.
Pharaoh,
It's the king of Egypt.
yeah, Pharaoh.
Title.
Okay, Pharaoh officers saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, and the women who was taken to Pharaoh's house. And he was good to Abram to her account. And Abram had flock and herd. Flock and herd. Flock. What is it? Flock again? Sorry, I forgot.
It's like flock is like cattle. Flock.
Flock.
Herd. Like I can demonstrate the picture. Flock and herd, but flock. I think it's about sheep. A lot of sheep, like the flock. Sheep and goats. But herd. What's the difference between flock and
what
herds?
It's
Do you see it's
bird.
flock?
It's a kind of bird.
Actually, it's about bird in the sense. It's like crowd of sheep. It's a flock. But do you see it's a flock? But what is a herd, and what's the difference between flock and herd?
Yeah.
Because herd, we can say it's about like maybe cattle.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Learning, reading.
Yeah, we are reading the book and learn English from this book.
Can I try? Me beginner want to read. Can I try?
Next section, because you in your turn you can read.
Okay, okay.
You see, we try to memorize this word like herd. Herd is like about sheep, but it's about like calves too.
Herd, group of herd.
Herd.
Yeah.
Flock and herd.
Flock and herd.
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 Can you translate Italian? Me Italian.
Actually, I cannot translate because I translate from synonyms. You can see synonyms and you can translate from synonyms because it's like there is a lot of synonyms and it's like cattle. They see cattle, graze.
I understand, man.
It's a good way to learn from synonyms. And male donkeys. Go on.
Okay. Had flock and herd, and male donkeys and male servants, and female servants and female donkeys, and camels. And Jehovah struck Pharaoh and his household with great plague.
Plagues or plagues?
What is it? Like, I'm not 100% sure.
Plagues, maybe.
Like plague.
Plagues.
Plagues.
Plagues. Plagues.
Okay.
It's like pestilence with great plagues.
Plagues. Because of this word of Sarai, Abram's wife, and Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this you have done to me? Why didn't you point out to me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? And I would have taken her for my woman. And now, look, your wife, take her and go." And Pharaoh gave orders concerning to his men, and they sent his away and his wife and all that he had. Maybe someone wants to read, or should I continue?
Who wanted to read? You can read. I think he left.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yeah, go on.
Say summary. True history begins here. All the elements are representative, and the individual words are symbolic. Everything said about Abram in the chapter represents the Lord's state from childhood to adolescence.
Like adult.
Yeah. The Lord was born the same as any other human, so he also advanced from a murky state to one of greater clarity. Haran is the first place, which is dark. What is it again? Shechem is the second.
Shechem.
Shechem is the second. The oak grove of Moreh is the third. The mountain from which
Me try.
Okay. Wait, let me finish this one. Metal was toward the sea, and I was toward the east is the fourth. Going from there southward into Egypt is the fifth. Okay.
Mm-hmm. In 1 second. Egypt. Yeah, Egypt is the fifth. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can read from this section.
Okay. Everything said about Abraham staying in Egypt represents about symbolizes the Lord's early education. Abraham is the Lord. Sarai as his wife is truth that needs to be connected to something from heaven. Sarai as his sister is intuitive truth, and Egypt is secular knowledge. The chapter describes the Lord's progress from superficial facts all the way to heavenly truth. This progression followed the divine plan, calling for Lord's human quality to be united with his divine quality and for the Lord to become at the same time Jehovah. Thank you.
Well, your reading is very well. Can you continue? The next? Like,
Sir, let's try inner meaning. Okay, from the first chapter of Genesis up to this point, or rather up to Eber, the story elements were not true history, but were made up. And one of the inner level, they symbolized heavenly and spiritual matters in the current chapter, and in those to come, the narrative details are not made up but are truly historical details. On a deeper level, they too symbolize heavenly and spiritual matters, as anyone can simply by considering that it is the Lord's word. In this genuinely historical part, every single statement and word symbolizes something radically different in the inner meaning than in the literal meaning, but the historical elements themselves are representative. Abraham, the first to be chronicled.
it's Abram.
Abram.
Yeah, it
Abram.
is his first
Who's
name.
Abram?
Abram is Abraham, but he was renamed later. It's Abram.
Abram. Never heard of him.
Have you heard about Abraham?
Yes, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
quite sure.
Before Abraham, Abram was called Abram. It is like his first name.
What is this book about?
It's about spiritual meaning of the book of Genesis of the Bible. It's Emmanuel Swedenborg. This book, Secrets of Heaven. It's like secret meaning of the book of Genesis of the Bible, like inner meaning, spiritual meaning.
It has any connections with like Muslim religion? Because it sounds like for some reason. It sounds like or there's some parts in the book that are connected to the Muslim religion. I might be wrong. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, it's like a method. We can interpret other holy books by using this method because it's about correspondences. Like every literal meaning of God's words corresponds to its spiritual meaning, and it corresponds to its heavenly meaning, like this. And actually, it's not about historical events, but it's about now. What is going on right now in our minds? Actually, it's about mind. You can see everything in your mind when you read this book. You should see into yourself and to see that events right now happening right now in your heart, like in your mind. Because it's not about time, it's about now. It's about present moment, actually. Go on.
Okay. Okay, so Abram, the first to be chronicled, broadly represents the Lord and more narrowly represents the heavenly self. Isaac, I think, Isaac, oh yeah, I thought that I was saying wrongly. Who comes next, likewise represents, I guess, it represents.
It's Isaac.
Isaac.
Yeah. Isaac.
Isaac. It's been a long time since I read any book. Represents the Lord generally, but the spiritual self specifically. Jacob too represents the Lord generally, and specifically he represents the earthly self. So the three of them represents properties of the Lord, of his kingdom, and of the church.
Go on.
The nature of the inner meaning, though, as has been transparently demonstrated already, requires that each and any particular be understood separately from the literal meaning, as if the literal meaning did not exist. The soul and life of the world is in the inner meaning, and it does not reveal itself unless the literal meaning vanishes, so to speak. That is how angels, enabled by the Lord, perceives the world. When we on the earth are re-adding it. By the way, so
reading.
to speak.
Reading.
Oh,
When we on earth are reading it.
adding.
It's about reading.
Adding.
It's to read, I think.
Reading.
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 It's about read.
Yeah, it's reading. I thought it was a different word. But don't change the page. So to speak, it's for those that don't know, it's like it's kind of it's not a slang, but so to speak, it's like there's other meanings as well, right? There are other meanings for so to speak, because you can say as well as you can say so to speak. You can say let me remember, because I think there are other ways as well, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, guys?
Yeah.
Because we have to learn. Wait.
The same, because literal meaning is like first meaning of language, because it's like children can understand everything in literal sense, but
so to speak is so it's like so to say, or it's like no, I remember so to speak, because I heard this word or this phrasing so many times when I was talking with native speakers, and they were also used this word but in a different way, which is in other words, or in other words, or they also use to put it in another way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
To put it in another way.
Yeah, it's about figurative language, because figurative language is like the next kind of language, because it's the language of wise people. It depends from wisdom, and only wise people can use figurative language, because we can transmit more information, transmit and receive more information with using figurative language, by using figurative language, because it's like it's about information we can transmit. Yeah, because for example, I can say God, and like God is like, who is God? Nobody knows who is God. But if we will explain God as like what is right, what is correct, what is merciful, what is charity, like what is justice, and I can say, and I will, and if you understand that meaning of God, I can say only one word, like God, and you will understand me, because I transmitted more information from that term.
Because, to put it, that's one way. But to put it another way, or in other words, I like it to call this. This, so to speak, is an idiomatic expression that is used to indicate that the words being spoken should not be taken literally, or to acknowledge a particular phrase or a words. For example, I am on a diet, or I am only having salad, so to speak. You know. In this sentence, the phrase "so to speak" is used to suggest that a speaker is not literally only eating salad, but is using to emphasize. This phrase is using to emphasize that they are making an effort to eat healthier foods. I'm on a diet, so I am only having salad, so to speak. You know. That's what I was trying to point out. But yeah, I like the way you explain it as well. Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, it's like a code. We can understand that code from that word.
But no, don't change the page. There's more there. There's more left. That is how angels, enabled by the world Lord, perceive the word when we on earth are reading it.
Mhm. Reading. Yeah, because angels, we should understand the meaning of angels, and Swedenborg explain us the meaning of angels. Because we can say, oh, angels, and you can understand angels in your way, and I can understand angels in my own way, and we cannot understand each other because we understand angels in different ways. Yeah, but if you will have the one understanding of angels, we can use this term to communicate and to share our information. You see, it's like
Mhm.
it's about meaning, because we should understand the meaning of angels, and we can use
Yeah.
Hebrew language, original language of this term, to see that angels mean an angel mean is a messenger, is a prophet, a teacher, is a priest, is a prophet. Actually, it's everyone who has the word of God, and because he's like a messenger of God, and it's about
Mhm.
God, because God is the word, because God is the word, and God it means that God is like information of God, like this. I understand in this way.
Yeah.
Next page. Go on.
A summary prefacing this chapter indicates what the historical events in it represent. The symbolism of the sentence and words will become clear in what follows, where they are explained. Genesis 12:1 and Jehovah said to Abraham,
Jehovah.
Go,
Jehovah
Jehovah,
is
go
yeah.
your Jehovah.
Jehovah is the name of
Go
God.
your way. Okay, go your way from your land and from your birthplace and from your father's house to the land that I show you. The events of this verse and later ones happen as written, but the historical facts are representative and the words are symbolic. In an inner sense, Abraham means the Lord, as noted above. Jehovah said to Abraham
Abram.
symbolizes Abram symbolizes a first representation. Go from your land
Realization.
symbolizes the realization.
Realization. You said representation.
Thank you. Oh, I'm drunk. I'm sorry. Bodily and worldly concerns that he would withdraw from, and from your birth realizes bodily and worldly concerns that we
Yeah.
that were relatively superficial, and from your father's house symbolizes ones that were deeper. To the land that I show you symbolizes spiritual and heavenly traits that would be presented to view. The events of this verse and later ones happen as written, but the historical facts are representative. The words are each symbolic. This is true for all the narrative parts of the world, not only the books. Okay, I'm stupid. The books of Moses, but Jehovah, Muhuji, Samuel, I'm sorry, and Kings
Joshua,
as well.
Judges, Samuel, and Kings.
Exactly, thank you. Nothing but history appears in any of them. Yet, although the literal meaning is history, and the inner meaning holds the mysteries of heaven which lie hidden there, these mysteries can never be seen as long as we train our minds eye on the historical details. They are not unveiled until we withdraw our minds for the literal meaning. the Lord's word is like a body with a living soul. Anything having to do with the soul remains invisible to the point that we scarcely believe we even have a soul, let alone that it lives on after that. As long as the body monopolizes our thinking. I guess I mispronounced monopolizes. I think it's monopolizes.
I think it's monopolizes. Yeah, I think you're correct.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
We can check it out.
Monopolizes.
Monopolizes. Oh, fuck.
Monopolizes.
Monopolizes our thinking as soon as concern for our person ebbs from our minds. To be quite honest with you, I have no clue what it means, ebbs. So let's check it out.
Ebbs?
I'll check it out. Okay, I'll ebbs.
Ebbs.
Ebbs, like maybe
The movement of the tide out to the sea. Reflux.
I think it's in this sense like maybe decay, like fade away. Recession.
Yeah.
Recession.
Yeah. It's more of how our minds are flowing back or retreating from the meaning, for the essential meaning, right? From our minds, though equalities of the soul and of life reveal themselves. That is why everything connected with our body has to die before we can be born anew or regenerate. Not only that, the body itself also has to die so that we can enter heaven and behold heavenly signs. The case with the Lord's word is the same. Its body is the context of the literal meaning, and as soon as we fix our minds on those who see nothing deeper, when they die, though the deeper content first stands out in the plain sight. Still, the features of the literal sense are like those things in us that belong to the body. Specifically, they are like facts that we glean from our sense impressions and retain in our memory. These are general containers that hold deeper levels inside. You can see from this that containers are one thing. Guys, you can let me know how should I adjust the speed. Okay, you can see from this that containers are one thing. The vital concepts contained within them are another. The containers are earthly. Their vital contents are spiritual and heavenly. So also with the historical passages of the word and with the individual words there as well. They are general containers that are earthly and even physical, and they hold spiritual and heavenly features. The latter never enter our field of vision, except through the inner meaning. Anyone can see this merely from the consideration that the world of N speaks in what?
Often, like often.
Oh, often. I thought. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. World of often speaks in occur with appearances and even in accord with illusions of the senses. It says, for instance, that the Lord feels anger, punishes people, curses them, kills them, and so on, when in fact the inner meaning says the opposite, that the Lord never feels anger or punishes people, let alone cursing or killing them. Yet it does not hurt people to believe in simplicity of heart, that the word is just what they take it to be in the letter, as long as they live lives of neighborly love. The reason.
Reason.
Ah, okay,
The reason.
reason. Yeah, reason. Ah, reason there. Reason it does not harm is that a word teaches nothing but the need for each of us to live in charity with our neighbor and to love the Lord above all. All. People who do this have deeper dimensions inside. So any illusions they acquire from the literal meaning are easily dispelled. The idea that the historical facts are representative, but the words are each symbolic, can be seen from previous remarks and illustrations in SSS 666592220 and 123465. Sorry, I'm joking. Concerning representation and symbolism, since the representative narrative. Excuse me? Narrative. Yeah.
Representative, yeah.
Representative? Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Mispronounce one word. Narrative begins here. Let me give a further brief explanation. The people of the earliest church, which had a heavenly character, regarded every earthly, worldly, or bodily thing that ever presented itself to their senses as a dead object only. But each and every item in the world represents some image of the Lord's kingdom, and so of heavenly and spiritual attributes. As a result, when they observed those objects or encountered them by some other sense, their thoughts centered not on the objects but on aspects of heaven and of the spirits, and came not from the came not from the objects but through them. So for them, that objects were alive. The symbolic meanings of these items were received from their lips by the next generation, which gathered such meanings together and made doctrinal precepts out. Precepts, right? Precepts?
Yeah,
Precepts, I
yeah.
guess.
Precept.
Out of them. Collectively, these formed the world of the ancient church after the flood. Such precepts, yeah, thought
Precepts.
Precepts. Oh, such precepts. I guess precepts means like beliefs. Not sure.
Precept.
Instruction, commandment, testament, principle, rule, regulation, instruction. Precepts. That's why I have to read more, because I am.
Precepts as
It's
like a rule, which is like set by people.
sorry. Such precepts taught the people of the ancient church in a symbolic way, because they were both a means by which those people learning one lessons. I'm stupid. What the heck? And those source of their thoughts about heavenly and spiritual matters, this knowledge started to die out. However, so that people had no idea what such objects symbolized, and they
Symbolized.
began to make them scared, though they
Sacred.
were worldly. What?
It's not. It's you said scared. It's sacred.
Ah, okay, now I'm imagining myself, I guess, words. I'm sorry, guys. Temporal things, and to worship things, to worship them without any thought of their symbolism. Then those same objects became representative. Such was the origin of the representative church, which
Commenced.
the CD
what
is
is
locked.
commenced?
I think it's like a commenced. Like I think I know. Commenced,
Begun.
commenced, begun, start, begin. It's quite which command with which
Commenced. Okay. Commenced.
interesting. And was
It was.
later established among Jacob's descendants. From all this, so you can see the representation rose out of the symbolism of the Asian church, and that the symbolism of the Asian church rose out of the heavenly ideas of the earliest church. The nature of the representation can be seen from the world's histories. There all the deeds of these patriarchs. What it deeds means, I have no clue.
Patriarchs.
Patriarchs, I know what it means, but not deeds.
Ah.
Deeds is like
Patriarchs.
doings, like their doings.
Deeds. This word, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Ah.
their doings.
actions,
Yeah.
Deeds.
deeds.
Acts. Actions.
Yeah, but
like
that's in
affair.
this context. I think in this context means what monk said, which
They're all
I
the
think
deeds of
is
these patriarchs, like actions.
all
like
the actions of the patriarchs, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, and later of Moses and Georges and the monarchs. Bro, I can't read anymore. I lost it. My neck is really sore. It's not able to speak anymore.
Thank you for your reading. Your reading is very well.
Awful. Thank you, man.
Who wants to continue? Maybe.
Oh, I'm gonna try. I love reading. Fuck yeah, man. And Israel are nothing if not representative in the world as noted. Guys, please rate my way of reading the book, the way I'm reading, because I want to improve at it. Not the way I read words, which I do think it's quite important, obviously, but the way I read, like I want to emphasize words so people can listen patiently without being distracted by anything else aside of just listening. So I'm trying to put more emphasizing or more emotions when I'm reading.
I would say like your pacing is perfect. Like it doesn't sound like you're rushing it or you're taking it too slowly. Yeah.
What
Like, your
can I
pacing
do
is very good.
better?
Oh no.
What can I do better? I want better. I want more. I guess I just need to read more.
You read with expression, and it's good way to read. Yeah, because we should read with expression. It's good way to.
But sometimes I
oratory.
stumble upon words, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, man. Sweden, Borg. Sorry.
Do you want to read next, or?
Oh yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
tired? Okay.
No, I'm never gonna be tired. I'm always fighting. That's sorry.
Because you can read this verse because we read verse by verse, and this verse, like Genesis 12:1, it's your verse to read, and next person can read next verse when you finish.
In the world as Israel are nothing if not representative. In the world as noted, Abraham represents in the world.
Abram.
Excuse me.
It's Abram is
Abram.
he was called Abram before he became Abraham.
Abram represents the Lord, and because he represents the Lord, he also represents the heavenly self. Isaac too.
Isaac.
I always have a problem saying Isaac. I don't know why. So what's the correct way? I'm confused. Isaac.
Yeah, it's very important word to memorize because every Christian knows this word.
Isaac.
It's patriarchs. They are patriarchs. Mhm.
Isaac.
Son of Abraham. Mhm.
I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to religion, but I'm learning. Isaac to represent the Lord, and therefore the spiritual self, and Jacob
Mhm.
as well represents the Lord, and therefore an earthly self corresponding to the spiritual self. The situation with regard to representation, though, is that it implies nothing about character of the person but only about the phenomenon about that the person represents. All the monarchs of Jutal and Muhan. No, I'm joking. What it's called? How do I'm supposed to read Judah?
Judah.
Judah.
Judah
Never
and
heard of this
Israel.
word. And Israel. No, Israel. I know. Just joking. Represented the Lord's sovereignty, no matter what they were like, and sovereignty. I'm sorry. All the priests represented the Lord's priesthood, no matter what they in turn were like. So bad ones and good ones alike were able to represent the Lord and the heavenly and spiritual qualities of his is his what? Is
Realm.
ALM?
Realm. Realm. Like kingdom.
Realm. Yeah, I know. As stated and proven already, the representative meaning is completely separate from the person. This then is why all the historical sections of the world are representative, since they are representative. It follows that all the words there are symbolic. Yeah. What? Symbolic?
Yeah. Sorry. What are you asking? Symbolic?
No, I thought someone said something, and that's why I stopped. But I don't know where I left. Where I'm at. Okay. That is that is they mean something different in an inner sense that's in a literal sense. To clear my throat. Okay, I'll stop. Jehovah said to Abraham, symbolizes. I'm stupid. Symbolizes. Symbolizes. A first realization. The situation is this: the recorded fact is representative, but the actual words are symbolic. The ancient church's method of expression was such that when a thing was true, they would say, Jehovah said, Jehovah, or Jehovah said, or Jehovah spoke, meaning that it was so as shown before. After symbolism turned into representation, Jehovah or the Lord really really did speak with people. And then when it says that Jehovah said something or that Jehovah spoke with someone, it has the same meaning as it did earlier. The Lord's words in the historical parts entail much the same thing that his words in the fictional parts do. The only difference is that the authors of the latter make up what seems to be the true story, while the authors of the former do not make it up. This clause then Jehovah said to Abraham, Abram.
Abram.
Why I'm saying Abraham, man?
Abram.
Abram. Do you see
Abram.
Abram.
transcription?
Okay.
Abram.
Abram. Okay.
Abram.
Abram symbolizes. Sorry. Nothing else than a first realization in the ancient church. For instance, when people realized that a thing was so because either conscience or some other inner voice or their scriptures, told them it was. They too said. Jehovah said the symbolism of go from your land as bodily and worldly concerns that he would withdraw from can be seen from the symbolism of land, which varies and depending on the person or thing with which it is associated. Take the first chapter of Genesis and other places where land also symbolizes our outer self. The reason is it means bodily and worldly concerns, whereas that these concerns belong to the outer self. Strictly speaking, a land means the land itself or any or an area or a country. It is also inhabit there, or else the people itself or the nationality itself that lives in the land. So the name of the land means not only a people or nationality in a broad sense, but also an inhabitant in a narrow sense. When a land is associated with a single inhabitant, the symbolism depends on the reason for the association. Here the reference to bodily and worldly matters, because the land of the birth that Abram, I don't know why I have this problem. Abram was to live was an idolatrous.
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 Idolatrous. To live in idolatry. So the narrative here says that he was going to leave that land, but the representative meaning is that he would withdraw from the preoccupations from the outer self. In other words, superficial concerns would not conflict or interfere. And since this is about the Lord, the meaning is that superficial aspects would actually harmonize with deeper ones. And from your birth place symbolizes bodily and worldly concerns that we were relatively superficial, while and from our father's house symbolizes ones that we were deeper. It can be seen from symbolism of birth and from that of a father's house. We concern ourselves with our bodily body and the world on shallower and deeper levels. Shallower matters really do belong to the body. They are physically pleasures and sensations, experiences. The deeper ones are emotions and factual knowledge. These are the things symbolized by Abraham. Why I have this
Abrams.
problem? Whole Abrams. I always forget. Holy sh.
Actually,
Abrams.
Abraham is a long word, but Abram is a short word. You see, it's short, but Abraham is like long. Big word.
Abraham. I like Abraham. Sounds cooler. Sounds like he's a cool man. Abraham.
Five letters is Abram, but Abraham is like 10 maybe.
Abram.
Maybe eight letters. Abraham. Mhm.
Birth and by his father's house, much evidence can confirm the claim that this is the symbolism, but since it can be seen from the series of ideas and from an examination of the subjects dealt with one on an inner level, there is no need to spend time prohibiting proving it. Yeah, proving it. You're right. Yo, man, that's enough. I have some work. I don't have time anymore.
Thank you very much. Who wants to read next?
My pleasure. My pleasure. I like reading, but I don't have time. More time.
Mhm.
I gotta go. I have some work. Yo, thank you for being here.
Don't drink anymore.
Shouldn't drink.
Yeah, don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good for your health.
I'm not gonna do it, man. Promise you. Thanks for the reminder.
God doesn't like if people drink.
I don't like either, but sometimes you just found yourself in a place where people are pushing you to drink, but you just have to reject it.
Because it's like a slavery. Because you depend from that stuff. It's not about, but Jesus wants to make us free, to set us free. It's about freedom.
I like that. Where are you from, man? Russia?
Actually, I don't say about myself because I don't like to talk about myself.
You don't want to mention your country. It's private matters.
Actually, it changes topic because I don't represent myself. Because do you see my nickname is Swedenborg Emmanuel. I represent his doctrine and his books because I want to.
That's totally fine, man. I don't mind. I'm just saying it's okay, man. It's fine. I respect your decision.
Okay. Who wants to continue? Maybe it's not. Yeah, I will finish this because it's like 5 pages.
Oh, do you want me to say yeah?
Do you want to read? Yeah, you can read.
Okay.
But your microphone is so quiet. Maybe I will.
Hold on.
Okay.
Is this better? Hello.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The symbolism. Can't read it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the symbolism of to the land that I show you as spiritual and heavenly traits that would be presented to view is established by the symbolism of the land. Here it is established by the symbolism of the land, the Canaan. Oh, Canaan, which is represented as Lord's kingdom, as can be seen from many places in the world. This is why The land of Canaan is called the Holy Land and the heavenly Canaan because it represented the Lord's kingdom. It also represented and symbolized spiritual and heavenly qualities of the Lord's kingdom and here of the Lord Himself. Because this speaks of the Lord, it contains more hidden wisdom than could ever be thought of, could ever be thought or expressed. In a sense, it is talking about the Lord's first state when He was born. This state is a deep mystery, so it cannot be explained intelligibly. All that can be said is that
Intelligibly, yeah? How to
yeah,
pronounce?
Intelligibly.
Yeah, intelligibly.
intelligibly,
It's like
yeah,
clearly,
yeah.
lucidly.
Although he was convinced by Jehovah, I don't know who that is. He was
Conceived. It was conceived by Jehovah.
yeah,
How did you say this word? Convinced? Conceived, yeah?
yeah,
Conceived.
yeah. I just misread it.
Jehovah.
Jehovah.
Jehovah,
Jehovah.
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 Yeah. He was otherwise like any other person. He was born to a woman, a virgin, and by birth to her, he acquired weaknesses like those of any ordinary person. Such weaknesses arise from the body and current verse says he would withdraw from them so that heavenly and spiritual entities could be presented to his view. There are two hereditary. What the fuck is that?
Heredities, yeah? Heredities,
Heredities.
I
I've not
think.
heard of it.
Heredities.
Heredities.
Okay, like
Heredities.
inheritance. Heredities.
Heredities. That we acquire by birth. One from our father and the other and the other from our mother. The Lord's heredity from his father was divinity, but his heredity from his mother was human frailty.
What is
This
this?
frailty,
Frailty.
like fragile,
Frailty.
yeah, fragility,
Frailty.
frailty,
Infirmity.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. This frailty, which we all acquire by inheritance from our mothers, is something corporeal, and this
Cor-
this and
what is this corporeal?
corporeal,
Corporeal. Corporeal.
Corporeal. It's like bodily, physical.
yeah.
Something corporeal that disintegrates.
When we are being reborn, what we receive from our fathers, though remains forever, and the Lord's heredity from Jehovah, as noted, was divinity. Another secret is that Lord's humanity also became divine. In him alone, everything belonging to his body corresponded to something divine. With exquisite or infinite perfection, this led to union between his physical elements and his divinely heavenly
Attribute. I think. How did you say this word? Infinite.
infinite. Yeah,
I think it's
infinite.
infinite. Infinite.
Infinite.
Infinite.
Infinite, like eternal, endless. Do you think
Infinite.
maybe we can say this word in different ways? But I didn't hear. I don't sure. Yeah. I think it's infinite. Yeah. Am I right?
Infinite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Infinite. Divinely
Right.
heaven-like attributes.
attributes between his sensory experiences and his divinely spiritual attributes, so he is the complete and perfect human and the only human. This kind of sounds like me.
Wow.
Mhm.
Genesis 12:2. And I will make you into great nation and bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will make you into great nation symbolizes a kingdom in the heavens and on earth. It is called great nation because of what is heavenly and good about her. And bless you symbolizes the way heavenly things reproduce themselves and spiritual things multiply. And make your name great symbolizes glory. And you will be a blessing means that absolutely everything is from the Lord. The symbolism of I will make you into great nation as wait hold on. Yeah, make you into a great nation as a kingdom in the heavens and on the earth can be seen from the symbolism of a nation. In a sense, a nation is the heavenly quality of love and the good that comes out of her. So it is everyone everywhere who has the heavenly gift of love and charity. Because the subject in an inner sense is the Lord, it means every heavenly quality and all the resulting good. So it is the Lord's kingdom which exists in people who have love and charity in them. In the higher sense, the Lord himself is a great nation because he is heavenliness itself and goodness itself. Since all the good growing out of the love and charity comes from him alone, as a result, uh, the Lord also is his actual kingdom. That is, he is the all in all of his kingdom, as every angel in heaven acknowledges. This shows then that I will make you into the great nation symbolizes the Lord's kingdom in the heavens and on earth. Alright, I must stop now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Who is next? Okay. I'll read. Passages illustrating the symbolism of a nation and of the nations and quoted in also demonstrate that wherever the discussion centers on the Lord and on the heavenly aspects of love, a nation in an inner sense symbolizes the Lord and everything that is heavenly. The following quotations offer further further confirmation concerning Abraham in a later passage. No longer will your name be called Abram, but your name will be Abraham, because I have made you father of an abundance of nations. From Jehovah's name came the word particle age in Abraham, because of Abraham's representation of Jehovah or the Lord. Likewise concerning Sarai, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah is her name. And I will bless her and also give you a son from her. So I will bless her, and she will become nations. Monarchs of various peoples will come from her. The nations stand for the heavenly qualities of love, while the monarchs of various peoples stand for the spiritual aspects of faith that develop out of those qualities, both of which are the Lord's alone. Again, concerning Jacob, your name will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel will be your name. And God called his name Israel. And God said, I am God, the thunderer. Grow and multiply. A nation and a throne of nations will develop out of you, and monarchs will come from your genitals. Genitals.
Genitals.
Genitals. Genitals. Sorry. Thank you. Israel stands for the Lord. Some people realize that he is Israel in the highest sense, and since he is obviously the nation and the throne of nations, and the monarchs from his genitals are the heavenly and spiritual qualities of love. Consequently, they are also the people who possess the heavenly and spiritual qualities of love. Concerning Ishmael, Abraham's son by Hagar, the slave's son, I will make him into a nation, since he is your seed. For Ishmael's representation, see the explanation given at that verse. Abraham's seed is the actual love whose presence allows the word nation to be used in connection with Ishmael's birth. The fact that a nation symbolizes the heavenly attributes of love can be seen in Moses. If you listen closely to my voice and keep my pact, you will be a personal possession to me out of all the peoples, and you will be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation to me. The kingdom of priests, which is the Lord's kingdom in the heavens and on earth, is explicitly being called a holy nation, a reference to the Lord's kingdom on the basis of his kingship. However, basis of his kinship. What is kinship? Like comradeship, yeah, kinship.
Kingship.
It's like kingdom, reign, and royal power. Basis of his kinship. Maybe it's about his royal power, yeah. Basis of his kinship, however, has to do with the spiritual attributes of love, and this kingdom is called the holy people. So monarchs from his genitals. Genitals. As in the quotation above, are spiritual entities. In Jeremiah, if this status, statutes, it's statutes. It's like code of laws, statutes. Depart from before me, says Jehovah, the seed of Israel. How to pronounce Israel? Israel or Israel?
Israel.
Israel. Israel.
Israel.
Israel. Israel. The seed of Israel. The seed of Israel will also cease to be a nation before me all its days. The seed of Israel stands for the heavenly quality of neighborly love, and when this ceases, it is no longer a nation before the Lord. In Isaiah, the people walking in darkness have seen great light. You have multiplied the nation. This is talking about the church among non-Jewish nations in particular, and about everyone in general who lives without knowledge but with love for others. These people are a nation because they belong to the Lord's kingdom. In David, so that I can see the good of your chosen people, so that I can rejoice in the joy of your nation, so that I can boast of your inheritance. The nation clearly stands for the Lord's kingdom. The symbolism of a nation is the heavenly quality of love and the good that comes of it, rose out of a certain way of seeing things. The people of the earliest church were divided into households, clans, and nations, and this was their model for the Lord's kingdom. Since it was the model for the Lord's kingdom, it was the model for the nature of heaven itself. From this point of view, rose the symbolism, and from the symbolism rose the representation. The fact that it is called a great nation because of what is heavenly and good about it is established by the remarks and illustrations just offered and from others above at section 1259. From this you can see what the church among the nations, non-Jews, properly is. And bless you symbolizes the way heavenly things reproduce themselves and spiritual things multiply, as can be seen from the symbolism in the word of blessing discussed just below. The symbolism of and make your name great as glory can be seen without an explanation. On the surface, making a name implies something worldly, as does glory, but in an inner sense, it implies something heavenly. The heavenly equivalent is not the effort to become greatest, but to become least, the servant of all, as the Lord said in Matthew. It shall not be this way among you, but anyone among you who wants to become great will have to be your attendant, and anyone who wants to be first will have to be your slave, just as the Son of Humankind did not come to be served, but to serve others, and to give his soul as a ransom for many. What makes love heavenly is not the desire to have anything for ourselves, but to share with everybody. So it is the desire to give everything that is ours to others. This is the essence of heavenly love, because the Lord is love itself, or the essence and living power of the love that everyone in heaven has. He wants to give everything that is his to the human race. That is what is symbolized by his declaration that the Son of Humankind had come to give his soul as a ransom for many people. This demonstrates that the inner meaning of a name and glory is something entirely different from the surface meaning. Anyone in heaven who is obsessed with becoming big and important is rejected, because this goes against the essence and vitality of heavenly love as given by the Lord. From this it also follows that nothing is more opposed to heavenly love than self-love. See more on this from experience. In the fact that and you will be a blessing means that absolutely everything is from the Lord can be seen from the symbolism of a blessing. The word blessing is used for all kinds of benefits, personal, worldly, and earthly benefits in the superficial sense, and the spiritual and heavenly benefits in a deeper sense. To be a blessing is to be one from whom everything good comes, one who gives us all those benefits which could never be said of Abram. This too provides evidence that Abram represents the Lord, since The Lord alone is a blessing. The case is the same with later statements regarding Abraham, such as Abraham shall unquestionably, how to pronounce unquestionably, become a great and populous nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed in him. Regarding Isaac, all the nations of the earth will be blessed in your seed. Regarding Jacob, all the clans of the earth will be blessed in you and in your seed. Anyone can see that nations cannot be and have not been blessed in Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or in their seed, but in the Lord. David says so openly. His name will exist forever before the face of the Son. The name of a monarch's son will be his, and all nations will be blessed in him. This is about the Lord. In the same author, you will appoint him to be eternal blessing. This too is about the Lord. In Jeremiah, the nations will be blessed in him, and of him they will boast. All this now indicates that a blessing symbolizes the Lord. It also shows that when he is called a blessing, the meaning is that from him come all heavenly and spiritual qualities, which are the only good things there are. And since they are the only good things, they are the only true things. As a consequence, to the extent that earthly, worldly, and personal benefits contain heavenly and spiritual benefits, they actually are beneficial and actually are blessings. Okay, who wants to read next verse? Genesis 12.
Can I try?
Go ahead.
Genesis 12. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the clans of the ground will be blessed. I will bless those who bless you means that all happiness belongs to those who acknowledge the Lord in their hearts. And the one who curses you I will curse means that unhappiness is the lot of those who do not acknowledge him, and in you all the clans of the ground will be blessed means that everything true and good comes from the Lord. I will bless those who bless you means that all happiness belongs to those who acknowledge the Lord in their hearts. This can be seen from the symbolism of a blessing as involving absolutely all gifts from the Lord, both those that are good and those that are true, and accordingly heavenly, spiritual, earthly, worldly, and personal benefits. And because all blessing in a comprehensive sense encompasses all those gifts, you can see what it symbolizes in each instance from the storyline, since the symbolism depends on context. It stands to reason, then, that I will bless those who bless you means that all happiness belongs to those who acknowledge the Lord in their hearts, since in an inner sense the discussion here centers on the Lord, as noted on that. Among the ancients, blessing Jehovah the Lord was a customary way of speaking, as the word reveals. In David, for example, in your assemblies, bless God, the Lord from the fountain of Israel. In the same author, sing to Jehovah, bless his name, spread the good news of his salvation from day to day. In Daniel, in a vision at night, the secret was revealed. So Daniel blessed the God of the heavens and said, a blessing on the name of God himself from age to age, because wisdom and might are his. We also read of Zechariah and Simeon that they bless God. In these passages, it is clear that what blessing in the Lord is, singing to him, spreading the good news of his salvation, proclaiming his wisdom and might, and so confessing and acknowledging the Lord with all our heart. People who do this cannot help being blessed by the Lord. That is, they cannot help receiving gifts that are blessings, or in other words, He, heavenly, spiritual, earthly, worldly, and personal God, good. These things are good and produce happiness when they come in this order, as it was common for people to speak in terms of blessing Jehovah, the Lord, or being blessed by him. It was also a common turn of speech to say a blessing on Jehovah, in David, for instance. A blessing on Jehovah because he has heard the voice of my prayers. And the same author, a blessing on Jehovah because he has made his mercy to me extraordinary. And the same author, a blessing on God who has not cast my prayers aside or cast his mercy away from me. And the same author, a blessing on Jehovah God, the God of Israel, working miracles alone, and a blessing on his glorious name forever. And with his glory all the earth will be filled. And the same author, a blessing on you, Jehovah, teach me your statutes. In the same author, a blessing on Jehovah, my rock, teaching my hands. In Luke, Zechariah filled with the Holy Spirit prophesies, saying, "A blessing on the God of Israel, because He has visited His people and secured their deliverance." Yeah. Should I continue?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
It's your verse. You can read.
Okay. And the one who curses you, I will curse, symbolizes the unhappiness of those who do not acknowledge Him. This can be seen from the symbolism of cursing and being cursed as turning ourselves away from the Lord, shown before in that, and so is failing to acknowledge Him. Those who do not acknowledge Him turn away. So cursing here involves all traits of opposed to the ones implied by blessing. And in you all the clans of the ground will be blessed means that everything good and true comes from the Lord. This can be seen from the symbolism of blessing treated of in this verse and the last, and from the symbolism of the clans of the ground as everything good and true. In the word, the symbolism of clans is like that of nations and also peoples, since the word refers to both nations and peoples as clans and speaks of clans of the nations and clans of the peoples. Nation symbolizes goodness as shown, and people symbolizes truth as also shown. A clan symbolizes both goodness and truth. The reason they are called clans of the ground is that everything good and true is part of a loving faith, which is a feature of the church. The symbolism of the ground is the church, and therefore a faith within the church has already been shown at that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Your reading is very good. Are you? Is English your first language? I mean, are you a native English speaker?
No.
No, but you read like a native speaker.
Oh,
It's good to listen
thank
to
you.
your reading. So who wants to read next verse? Maybe Genesis 12:4. Who's next?
I read
Yeah, go ahead.
Genesis 12:4, and Abram went as Jehovah had spoken to him, and with him went Lot. And Abram was a son of 75 years when he left Haran. Abram, as noted, represents the Lord's human quality, and Abram went as Jehovah had spoken to him, symbolizes progress toward divine characteristics. And with him went Lot, symbolizes the census, rather. Lot represents the Lord as a sensory, physical being, and Abram was a son of 75 years, means that he did not yet have much divinity. when he left Haran symbolizes a shadowy state for the Lord. The representation of Abram as the Lord's human quality can be seen from the details describing Abram. Later on, he represents both the human and the divine quality of the Lord, but at that point he is called Abraham. From the first verse to the present one, the content represent and symbolize the Lord's first realization that he would clothe himself in heavenly properties and so in divine ones. The steps his human quality took toward becoming divine start here. The symbolism of and Abram went as Jehovah had spoken to him, as progress toward divine characteristics can be seen from the remarks just made. And with him went Lot symbolizes the senses. Lot represents the Lord as a sensory, physical being. This can be seen from Lot's representation in what follows, where the discussion focuses on him in the separation from Abram and in his rescue by angels. Later, after his separation from Abram, Lot takes on another representation, as will be described below. The Lord, in his divine mercy, willing. Clearly, the Lord was born like any other person to a human mother. A virgin one, and had senses, had a physical presence like other people's. He was not like others, though in this, the sensory physical component in him eventually united with heavenly attributes and became divine. Lot represent what belong exclusively to the Lord's body and senses, or to say the same thing, the Lord's sensory, physical self as it was when he was a youth, not as it came to be when united with his divinity by means of heavenly qualities. The fact that and Abram was a son of 75 years means that he did not yet have much divinity can be seen from the symbolism of 5 as a little and of 70 as holiness. The symbolism of 5 as a little was illustrated above in section 649 and that of 70 or 7 as holiness in other section. Since the number 70 is mentioned in connection with the Lord here, it symbolizes divine holiness. Previous statements and proofs regarding years and numbers show that on a deeper level, the numbers counting Abram's years have a different meaning that the literal literal one. The same
Literal, literal or literal?
literal
chi-
literal
literal.
Literal.
Literal. Yeah.
Literal.
Transcription literal, but literal. Literal. Yeah,
literal
they. Literal. Literature, like say literature.
literature.
Literature. Okay.
The same conclusion is indicated by the fact that the word contains not so much as a syllable or even a mark that lacks an inner meaning. It would never have been mentioned that Abram was then a son of 75 years if this had not involved spiritual and heavenly matters. And in fact, the event would not have occurred at that particular stage of his life. The presence of a deeper meaning can also be seen from other numbers, measuring both years and concrete objects in the word. The symbolism of when he left Haran as a shadowy state for the Lord, like that we experience in youth, can be seen from the symbolism of Haran in verses 31-32 of the previous chapter. Genesis 11 Terah was first to come to Haran with Abram, and that is where Terah, Abram's father, died. The symbolism can also be seen from the later passages describing Jacob's journey to Haran, where Laban was Genesis 24, 40, 27, 43. Haran was an area where worship was superficial, and in the case of Terah, Abram, and Laban, even idolatrous, but it does not mean the same thing deep down uh, as it does on the surface. On the surface. All it means is something that is vague when the
Vague,
surface
vague,
vague,
Vague.
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 Mhm. It's like uncertain, foggy, unclear, vague,
Okay.
Vague.
vague.
Something that is vague. When the surface meaning develops into a deeper meaning, the notion of idolatry does not remain, is erased. Compare the way mountains gave rise to the thought of holy love. When the inner meaning develops out of the surface meaning, first the image of a mountain disappears and the idea of height remains, and then holiness is represented by the height. It is the same with all other images. Okay.
Mhm. Thank you. Mhm. Who didn't read else? Who wants to read? Genesis
I
12.
read
Go ahead.
Genesis 12:5. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their gain that they had gained, and every soul that they had made in Haran, and they left to go into the land of Canaan, and they came into the land of Canaan. And
Canaan.
Abram took Sarai, Canaan. Yeah,
Mhm.
and Abram took Sarai, his wife, symbolized goodness with truth connected to it. Abram, as noted, means the Lord, and here it means when he was young. Sarai, his wife, means truth. And Lot, his brother's son, symbolized truth gained through the senses. That is, the first kind of truth instilled in the youth. And all the gain that they had gained symbolized everything that can be identified as sensory truth. And every soul that they had made in Haran symbolized all essential vitality that is possible in the shadowy state. And they left to go into the land of Canaan. Means that by this means he would press on all the way to the heavenly aspect of love. And they came into the land of Canaan means that he arrived at the heavenly aspect of love. The symbolism of an Abram took Sarai his wife as goodness with truth connected to it can be seen from the symbolic meaning in the word of a human and his wife, given in uh, so in an inner sense here, the one thing Sarai means is truth. Absolutely everything in us features something equivalent to a marriage. Never could there be an alignment
Element.
so tiny element.
El-
Yeah,
I
to be
think
an
it's
element.
mhm.
Element.
Element. Element.
Yeah, element. To be an element so tiny as to lack that image of a marriage, whether in our outer self or our inner self. With all that either encompasses, every single thing comes into
What is this
existence.
encompasses?
Encompasses.
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 Encompasses. It's like
Encompasses.
include, cover, surround, embrace. Embrace. Encompasses.
Encompasses. Okay. Every single thing comes into existence and remains in existence because of the Lord and because of the union. The marriage essentially between his human quality and his divine quality. And also because of the bond, the heavenly marriage, in other words, between both of those qualities and his kingdom in the heavens and on earth. Here, where truth attached to goodness in the Lord needed to be represented. It could only be represented by Abram's wife, since it could only be represented by historical details involving Abram. Concerning the fact that absolutely everything contains the equivalent of a marriage. See above in Abram means the Lord, and here it means when he was young. What Sarai, his wife, means truth, as the discussion shows. The symbolism of and Lord, his brother's son, as truth gained through the senses. That is, as the first kind of truth instilled in the Lord as a youth, can be seen from the following. Lord symbolizes the senses as mentioned in the last verse. A sun symbolizes truth as described earlier in SS 264, and a brother is also religious truth. Lord here is truth gained through the senses. The inner sense implies nothing about the people or the words involved. It concerns itself only with their symbolism. In heaven, they do not know who Lord is, but what quality he represents. They do not know what a son, what a what, what a what a
What
son
what
is.
what what a son is.
Oh, okay, what a son is, but what a spiritual condition resembling that of a
Resembling.
son is.
What is resembling?
Resembling.
Like reminding, maybe.
Resembling.
Resembling, like just like resembling.
Resembling.
It's like actually resembling is like just like.
Just like.
Resembling.
Resembling that of a son is, and they do not know what a brother is except from the kind of brotherhood that exists in heaven. To turn to the subject of truth gained through the senses, it is the first kind of truth that instills itself, because our powers of judgment reach no deeper in youth. Sensory truth is the vision of all earthly and worldly things as the creation of God. Of each and every object as having a purpose, and of each and every object as displaying an image of God's kingdom. This sensory truth is infused only in heavenly people, and since only the Lord was a heavenly person, this sensory truth and others like them filtered in early in his youth. This prepared him for receiving heavenly truth. The symbolism of and all the gain that they had gain as everything that can be identified as sensory truth can be seen from the discussion. Gain is the term for every fact on which we base our thinking. In our capacity as human, we cannot entertain any fragment of thought without acquired fact. The concepts that compose our thinking are founded on facts, which enter through our senses and print themselves on our memory. So facts are containers for spiritual material, while feelings that rise out of positive types of bodily pleasure are containers for heavenly material. All of these are called gain and specific, specifically
Specifically,
gain
specific,
acquired
specifically,
specifically.
specific,
Specifically.
specifically.
Specific,
Mhm.
specifically. Gain acquired inherent, which symbolize the dim kind of state that characterize children up till adolescence. Continue. The symbolism of and every soul that they had made inherent as although essential vitality that is possible in this shadowy state can be seen from the following. A soul symbolizes essential vitality and Heron symbolizes a shadowy state, as described at the previous words. Strictly speaking, a soul symbolizes what is alive in earth and so our life itself. It is not our body that lives but our soul. Our body receives life through our soul. Our actual life force, our actual vitality come from the heavenly love. Nothing living.
You read this word like vitality. I think it's vitality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vitality.
Vitality.
hmm
Yeah, vitality.
It's like energy, life force, vital energy, life tone.
Vitality.
Vitality.
Comes from heavenly love. Nothing living.
Can possibly exist unless it derived from that source. So a soul here symbolizes a goodness whose living quality comes from heavenly love. This kind of goodness is genuinely essential and alive. On the literal level, a soul here means every person and every animal that was alive and that they had acquired for themselves. But in an inner sense, what it means is an essential vitality. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll finish. The meaning of they left to go into the land of Canaan as the fact that by these means he would press on all the way to the heavenly aspects of love can be seen from the symbolism of the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan represents the Lord's kingdom in the heavens and on earth, as the word reveals in many places. The reason for the connection is that the land of Canaan saw the establishment of the representative church in which everything in general and particular represents the Lord and the heavenly and spiritual elements of his kingdom. It was not just the rituals that had a representative meaning, but everything connected with ritual as well. The people who ministered the tools of their ministry and the places where they carried it out. Because the representative church was there, the land was called the Holy Land, even though it was anything but holy, since profane idolaters lived there. This, then, is why the land of Canaan here and in what follows symbolizes the heavenly qualities of love. The heavenly qualities of love are all that the Lord's kingdom contains and all that it comprises. Comprises, what is this?
Comprises.
Comprises like consist, include. Comprises. The fact that they came into the land of Canaan means that he arrived at the heavenly aspects of love is established by the remarks just made about the land of Canaan. This passage describes how the Lord in his early life, specifically from birth to adolescence, arrived at the heavenly aspects of love. The heavenly aspects of love are the true essentials. Everything else develops out of them. These were the first things of all to be instilled in the Lord because everything else then germinated. What is this?
Germinated.
Germinated. It's like sprout, originate. Germinated from them like plants sprouting from their seed. In the Lord, because he was born of Jehovah, the seed itself was heavenly. For the same reason, he was the only being in whom the seed was ever sown. No humans that have ever lived have any other seed sown in them than some foul, 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 like foul language, unclean. Then some foul, hellish germ that is the carrier and source. Carrier. Carrier, like bearer. Carrier. Transporter. Carrier. Germ that is the carrier and the source of their selfhood. And this they inherit from their father, as everyone knows. So unless we receive from the Lord a new seed and new selfhood, that is a new will and a new intellect, we are inevitably doomed to hell. Hell is what we must be withdrawn and constantly withheld from by the Lord, and this means all of us, people on earth, spirits and angels. Who is next?
I read
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Genesis 12:6. And Abram passed through the land, all the way to the place of Shechem, all the way to the oak grove of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. Abram passed through the land all the way to the place of Shechem, symbolizes the Lord's second state. When the heavenly qualities of love, symbolized by Shechem, would appear to him, all the way to the oak grove of Moreh, symbolizes his third state, the dawn of perception, which is the oak grove of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land, symbolizes the evil in his outer self, and he inherited from his mother. The symbolism of Abram passed through the land all the way to the place of Shechem as the Lord's second state, when the heavenly qualities of love would appear to him, can be seen from remarks above and from the overall scheme. The remarks.
The remarks above.
Above include the full
Fact.
Okay, is this an icon there? That he would press on all the way to the heavenly aspects of love, and that he arrived at them, symbolized by they left to go into the land of Canaan, and they came into the land of Canaan. The overall scheme indicates that after he continued on to heavenly qualities and reached them, they became visible to him. Heavenly traits contain the soul's true light because they contain divinity itself, that is, Jehovah himself. And since the Lord was going to unite his human essence to his divine essence, when he arrived at heavenly qualities, it was inevitably, no,
Maybe
inevitable,
maybe inevitable.
inevitable, and inevitable. Is it?
Maybe inevitable. Yeah, I think
Inevitable. Inevitable.
inevitable. Uh-huh.
Inevitable.
Inevitable.
in in invit
Inevitable.
Inevitable.
Ine-
Yeah.
okay, inevitable.
Inevitable.
Okay.
Inevitable. It was
That
inevitable.
okay. That Jehovah would appear to him. The symbolism of Sechem as these qualities can also be seen from the consideration that Sechem is his first stopping place in the land of Canaan as you come from Syria or Haran, because the land of Canaan symbolizes love's heavenly aspects. It stands to reason that Sechem symbolizes the first disclosure of heavenly attributes. When Jacob returned from Haran to the land of Canaan, he too came to Sechem, as these verses show. Jacob traveled to Sak, um,
Sakov.
Sakoth and built himself a house. Okay, wait, give me a minute. And for his livestock he made shelters. So he called the name of the place Succoth. And Jacob came to Salem, the city of Shechem, which is the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and he camped in front of the city and raised an altar there.
Livestock. It's like, do you remember? It's like flock. Do you know what is flock? Livestock.
Like flock is a group, right?
Flock, like a lot of sheep,
Yeah,
and herd,
herd.
herd, and livestock is like the same thing. Livestock like
Yeah,
cattle.
cattle.
But
See?
herd,
Herd
it's
also
herd.
there. Live
It's like
cattle,
the same thing,
livestock.
but
Okay, yeah.
maybe I want to see what is different between them.
Mhm.
Like flock, cattle, herd. Yeah, they see livestock is like cattle, like
Mhm.
cows. It's like livestock. Actually, it's not about sheep and pigs too. Pigs, do you see pigs? Like maybe livestock and poultry.
Poultry.
But actually, do you see this picture like livestock and pigs?
Mhm.
Maybe pigs too, livestock. Okay. But actually, Jews didn't have pigs, didn't eat pigs because it
Yeah.
means maybe you can say livestock, like cows. Okay, next page.
Here again, Sechem symbolizes first light. In David, God has spoken in his holiness. I will exalt. I will cleave Sechem.
Cliff or cliff or
Cleave
clove?
or clove. I'm not sure.
Clove or cliff? Clove, I think it's clove.
Please. Cleave.
Cleave. You're correct. Cleave. It's not about clover, but it's about
Break,
cleave.
stab,
Cleave.
chop, 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 chop.
And split.
Cleave.
Cleave. I will cleave chicken.
Such,
Chicken. Chicken.
in the valley of Succoth I will measure out. I own Gilead, Gilead, Gilead,
Gilead.
Gilead,
Gilead.
Gilead.
Gilead, but I heard it's like Gilead, maybe. Let's see, maybe in dictionary. Dictionary doesn't have Hebrew words.
Okay.
Okay, maybe Gilead, but I don't sure. Maybe I heard this word like Gilead.
Gilead.
Maybe Gilead. Okay, let's let it be Gilead.
Okay.
And I own Manasseh. Manasseh.
And I own
Manasseh.
Manasseh.
Manasseh. And
Ephraim is the strength of my head. Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my wash basin. On Edom, I will set my shoe over Philistia. Philistia. Is it Philistia or Philistia?
Philistia.
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 Philistia. Okay, Philistia. I will trumpet. Sechem has a similar kind of symbolism here too. These prophetic words of David's clearly illustrate the fact that names, including that of Sechem, had no meaning but a symbolic one. Otherwise, the prophecy would be hardly anything besides a conglomeration or conglomeration.
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 It's like heap, cluster, heap,
Cluster.
cluster, like group,
A bunch, a group.
bunch, bunch of names.
Conglomeration of names. Sechem became a city of refuge and a city of priests as well, and a pact was struck there. These facts involve something similar. The symbolism of all the way to the oak grove of Moreh as the dawn of perception can also be seen from the course of progress here. It is plain that as soon as Jehovah appeared to the Lord in his heavenly aspect, the Lord acquired perception. All perception results from heavenly traits. Have defined perception and shown what it is. The Lord gives perception to everyone who arrives at heavenly qualities, those who became heavenly people, as members of the earliest church did. All received perception as demonstrated before. Those who become spiritual people, that is, who receive from the Lord the gift of neighborly love, have something analogous to perception, or they hear the voice of conscience, which speaks more or less clearly.
Analogous.
Analogous.
Analogous. Yeah.
Depending on the extent to which they become heavenly in their love for others. This is an inherent result of loving others in a heavenly way, since the Lord is present only in the heavenly aspects of charity, which also reveal him to our eyes. How much more true this was for the Lord, who developed from being an infant into being Jehovah, and who was joined and united with Jehovah to the point of being one with him. In regard to the fact that the oak grove of Moreh is the dawn of perception, this is the situation. In us, we have capacities for the true understanding, for rationality, and for knowing facts. Capacities for true understanding are at the center. Rational abilities are less central, and factual knowledge is on the outside. These abilities in this arrangement are called our spirits,
Spiritual.
assets.
Assets. Assets or assets.
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 Assets. It's like property, wealth. Assets.
Yeah.
Like money to value. Resources. Spiritual assets.
In heavenly people, the ability to understand is compared to a garden filled with all kinds of trees. Rational capacities are compared to a forest of cedar, and so on, the kind of trees in Lebanon. But facts are like oak groves, since they resemble the tangled branches that oaks have. The trees themselves symbolize perceptions. The trees on the east in the Garden of Eden, for instance, symbolize the deepest perceptions, or
What is tangled branches? I know what is branches, but tangled.
tangled is like combined, or
Mhm.
uh,
Tangled.
entangled. Tangled.
Like
Yeah,
bind.
bind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bind. Combine. You said combined. I don't know what is
Yeah.
combined. But combined like bind. Yeah.
Combine,
Combined.
binding, like binding.
Mm,
It's bind.
Okay, got it. Perceptions or
Those that comprise true understanding, as already shown. The trees in Lebanon's forest symbolize perceptions that are less deep, or the perception of rational concepts. The trees found in an oak grove, though, symbolize more superficial perceptions, or the perception of facts, which belong to the outer self. That is why the oak grove of Moreh symbolizes the dawn of perception in the Lord, since he was still young and did not yet have spiritual assets inside him. In addition, the oak grove of Moreh was where the children of Israel first arrived after crossing the Jordan and saw the land of Canaan. Moses speaks of this way. We shall give the blessing, we should give the blessing on Mount Gerizim.
maybe Gerizim.
Gerizim? Gerizim.
Gerizim.
Gerizim. Gerizim.
Gerizim. Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Are they not across the Jordan beyond the path of the sunset, in the land where the Canaanite lives
Lives.
lives in the plain opposite?
Do you see? Because if we want to translate this word, we should see where is subject and predicate here.
Yeah. I was thinking if I would
Yeah.
say lives or lives.
Yeah, do you see what is subject here? Subject.
Where the Canaanite lives. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Subject is the Canaanite, and what is predicate?
I got it.
What is predicate here? It's like syntactic analysis, yeah.
Oh,
Because
where
we
the
should do
Canaanite
syntactic analysis.
lives. Okay. Yeah.
Predicate is lives, yeah. Do you see? Because
Lives. Yeah.
if it is predicate, it means it's the verb, and we
Yeah.
should translate it like live, but not live.
Yeah. I was very confused about this. Oh yeah. Lives in the plain opposite Gilgal, or Gilgal.
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 Gil.
Gilgal.
Okay, Gilgal, beside the oak groves of Moreh. These two symbolizes the beginning of perception, since the entry of the children of Israel represents the entry of the faithful into the Lord's kingdom. The symbolism of En, the Canaanite, was then in the land as the evil in his outer self that he inherited from his mother can be seen from statements already made about the Lord's heredity. He was born like the rest of us, carried with him different kinds of evil that he had received from his mother, which he fought against and completely overcame, as people generally realize.
What is overcame?
Overcame, like the overcome, overcame.
Yeah, overcome. What it means? Overcome.
Overcame.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminate.
It's like prevail over power. Mm-hmm. For example, if you fight with
Survive, like you
some,
survive, yeah.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Overcame, like
Surpass.
break. Mm-hmm. Overcame.
Completely.
It's about victory. Actually,
Yeah,
do you see?
like yeah, you pass
To
it.
to to got victory. To get victory. Mhm. to to overcome, like to overcome and to overcame.
Yeah.
As people generally
Real.
realize.
The Lord underwent and endured heavy spiritual trials. With the Lord's divine mercy, this will be discussed later. In fact, he fought alone with his own might against all of hell. That is how severe his trials were. No one can undergo spiritual crisis unless something bad clings to the person. No one devoid of evil can suffer the least wait. Tribulation?
Trib,
Tribulation. Tribulation.
tri, trib, tribu,
Tribulation.
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 Tribulation is like calamity, misfortune, grief, suffering, sorrow.
Mhm.
Maybe they want to see a picture.
Mm,
Let's see.
yeah.
Tribulation. It's better to memorize from picture. I think even we can. It has a movie maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
movie. Do you see Tribulation movie?
Hmm.
I think it's a Christian movie too. Because it's like a Christian word, tribulation. The great. Do you see Christians call the great tribulation like this?
Oh, yeah.
Call this word like this after the tribulation. Actually, there are a lot of movies. Mhm.
The end of day.
Sorry, what? What?
It sounds like the Armageddon, isn't it?
Yeah,
If I
tribulation. Evil is
Evil is
what?
what
the end of day.
hmm
hellish spirits stir up. The Lord had no actual evil, no evil of his own, as all the rest of us do. What he had was evil inherited from his mother, which in the present verse is called the Canaanite. Canaanite.
Canaanite.
Canaanite. Yeah. Then in the land. For more of the on this, see the remarks above at verse 1. Okay, to review, we are born with two heredities, one from our father and the other from our mother. Our heredity from our father lasts forever. That from our mother is dissolved by the Lord when we are being reborn. The Lord's heredity from his father, though, was divine, while his heredity from his mother was evil. The latter is the subject of the current verse and is what enabled him to be put to the test. For mention of his trials, see yeah. But again, he had no actual evil, no evil of his own, nor did any of his mother's evil heredity remain after he had overthrown
Mhm.
over
O-
overthrown
overthrown, like overcome, I think.
overthrow
Had
throw
overthrown.
Overthrown.
overthrow. Okay.
Ah.
Overthrow.
Do you see this word? This word is from throne.
Yeah.
Throne.
Yeah.
It's like a chair of king.
Mhm.
Chair of a king, and it's throne, and it's like to broke that throne, like this. Ousted, deposed, overthrown hell.
Okay. Through his trials, which is why it says here, "and it was then," that is, that the Canaanite was then in the land. The Canaanites were people who live along the sea and the shores of the Jordan, as is evident in Moses. When the scouts returned, they said, "We came into the land to which you sent us, and in fact it was flowing with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. But a strong people is living in the land, and the cities are fortified and very big, and we saw the offspring of Anak there. Amalek lives in the south, and the what was this?
Hittite.
Hittite,
Oh.
and the Jebusite and the Amorite live on the mountain, and the Canaanite lives along the sea and along the shores of the Jordan. The fact that Canaanites live along the sea and the shores of Jordan consequently symbolize evil in a person's outer self, the kind of evil we inherit from our mother, since the sea and the Jordan were outer borders. Zechariah also yields evidence that a Canaanite symbolizes this kind of evil. No longer will there be a Canaanite in the house of Jehovah, Sabbath, on that day. This refers to the Lord's kingdom and symbolizes the fact that the Lord has completely conquered the evil meant by a Canaanite and banished it from his kingdom. All types of evil are symbolized by the idolatrous nations in the land of Canaan, including the Canaanites proper, in such places as Genesis. What particular evil each nation symbolizes will be told elsewhere by the Lord's divine mercy.
Thank you very much. And today this reading is over, and I have
Okay,
to go and see you
thank you.
later.
Take care.
Tomorrow. Goodbye.